am Rose McDonough, and I am a retired family and consumer science teacher. And today I'm going to help you figure out what to do with all that leftover ham that you have from your Easter dinner. We have made a breakfast pizza with ham, with some bacon, with peppers. You can also put onions in there, but my helper today doesn't like onions, so we're skipping those. And some tomatoes on there, and a little bit of cheese. I'm using a mixture of cheese. I have cheddar and I have Colby Jack. So without further ado, let's get started. So when Tyler was in the middle school, Sodexo, which is the company that I wear this lab jacket for, I have a couple of them, they were left in my classroom. They had sponsored a program for students, and this happened to have been the recipe that he made. So I asked him to come in and hang out with me today to do this. Anytime you have multiple ingredients, get smart. Don't pick the easiest one first. Pick the ingredient that you're going to need to use first. The first thing we're going to put in our skillet is going to be our pepper. Then we're going to put in our ham. Then we're going to put in pre-cooked bacon, and then the last vegetable that's going to go in is tomato. So we're going to do this in the order. While he's taking care of that, I'm going to get the crescent rolls ready. You want to basically do a Zorro. That's about all you need to do on it. I also lifted it up a little bit because if you do this, ready for this? That's the sound you eventually hear. You can't have this turned down all the time. You need it to be in a semi-erect position. So this is my least favorite part to do, and here I am. I'm going to be the one that does it anyway. Open up your crescent rolls, pop them into pieces while he is maximizing his efforts and minimizing his time over there on those peppers. First he did some strips, and then after he did the strips, he put them all together and he started chopping them. He'll actually be done with all of the vegetables and the meats before I even get these crescent rolls unrolled. Just not my favorite thing to work on. You want to try, Tyler?
No.
Okay, well, fine. He's using a knife. You can use a knife to do that pre-cooked bacon, or I also have my shears here. I always have scissors in my kitchen that I use because there's lots of times I would prefer to use the scissors. I happen to even cut my pizza with scissors, which makes me, odd, but then again, everybody who knows me knows that I'm a little bit odd. All right, so he's taking care of that, and now he's going to start working on the ham because that's going to need to be done next. Once I finally get these crescent rolls all spread out and it's filled in, it's going to bake in the oven for about 7 minutes. You want to pre-brown your crust, and the reason you want to do that is because everything else is going to be partially cooked before we even put it on. We'll go over to our skillet. We put a little bit of butter in there, and he'll start out with the peppers, and then he'll cook those until they start to get a little shiny and you can tell they're starting to cook through. He'll add in the bacon, and the last thing that you need to add in would be the ham because the ham is already pre-cooked, so we don't need to have that heated up too much. After that, he'll mix in his eggs and a little bit of milk, season it with some salt and pepper, and cook everything on there. Whew. He beat me. I knew that was going to happen. All right, I'm using my rolling pin. You don't need to use a rolling pin, but I have one, so why would I not use this little handy-dandy rolling pin? I like it. It works for a lot of things. When you need a small space, if you're rolling out, let's say you are making pre-done cookies and you want to make a dessert pizza with some sugar cookie, you can use something like this to spread it out. All right, this is ready to go in the oven for 7 to 10 minutes. Tyler's now working on the tomato. The tomato will be the last thing that goes in, so he's done everything in the order that it needs to be done. So we're done with this. We're going to head on over to the skillet. When you feel like they're just warmed through, they're going to add in
my milk and eggs. get it a little bit more formed up, not so soupy.
So that's why you do them too, they're wet. All right, so at this point you can see that the eggs are not cooked all the way through. We don't want them cooked all the way through because we're going to put them onto our crust and bake them back in the oven for another 7 minutes until the cheese all melts together. So I brought this out of the oven. If you have a whole lot of air bubbles, you want to pop the air bubbles out. I don't have any air bubbles really in there. I pressed it down pretty well. You're just going to put a little bit of cheese on here. Think of the cheese as glue. We're going to use this as glue to hold everything together. If you have a pizza round, you surely can use your pizza round, but I'm not going to use that. I used the cookie sheet simply because I had two the same size and it was a whole lot easier. So Tyler's going to go ahead and add all of his mixture on. And then the last thing that we're going to do after that is put on our uncooked tomatoes. You might have noticed that the tomato looked relatively meaty. It's because I chose to use a Roma tomato. Roma tomatoes have less juice in them. It's why they happen to be my favorite to use. So it doesn't have to look perfect. I surely don't care. We're going to eat it and be happy no matter what we get out of it. I'm going to add a few tomatoes to it, and the tomatoes add some nice color, although unfortunately these are winter tomatoes, so the color is not nearly as nice as when you have them in the summer. I'm going to start growing some tomatoes, and I'm starting them inside in milk cartons. How cool is that? Last thing that we're going to do is add the rest of this cheese on. I did buy shredded cheddar cheese. It does cost more than a block of cheese. The recipe calls for 4 ounces. 4 ounces is about a cup that's been grated. And I did probably just a little short of a cup on here as I was mixing the cheeses together. That's it. It's going to go into the oven for another 7 minutes, and then we're going to be free to eat this. Thank you so much. If you liked my video, tell me you liked it. I need to see some thumbs up, and please subscribe. Get your friends to subscribe. They may as well cook and stay in at the same time. Be safe and happy Easter.
That's very good. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thank you for coming today.